Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Andrew DeFreitas from the Alzheimer's Association. Always fascinating.
Thank you again for having me.
Yeah, give us that website again where people might just take an online survey to see if they might be comfortable participating in some of these trials to help us find a cure.
That again is alz.org/trial match, or you can call our 24/7 helpline and they'll walk you through the process as well at 800-272-3900. That 24/7 helpline has all of the information, resources, local connections that to get you in touch with education programs, clinical trials, and local care and support.
Awesome. The Alzheimer's Association International Conference was held earlier this year, and although perhaps not officially Alzheimer's Association research, you welcomed some people to the conference that shared some research. What can you tell us about this,
Absolutely.
Andrew?
Well, the Alzheimer's Association International Conference is the world's largest and most influential international meeting dedicated to advancing dementia science.
So who's there? Let me stop you there. Who attends?
Sure. We had representatives from over 60 countries, and this was our largest conference actually in history yet, at 5,900 individuals. So we had people from across the globe, and for the first time ever, the amount of researchers, men to women, were approximately 50-50. So we were really excited about the diverse attendees there. And this can be anyone from an intense clinical setting researcher, a PhD and above level, or this can be someone studying Alzheimer's research, and maybe they're still a student. So anyone can attend who is interested in Alzheimer's research and studies both Alzheimer's Association funded, NIH funded, and funded from across the globe, present their findings in a situation convened by the Alzheimer's Association, and it's one of the largest sharing of information of that type with Alzheimer's focus. It is the largest in the world.
So you got some good news for once.
Yes. So this conference goes on every year, and those who have been following Alzheimer's research probably know that the last couple of announcements have been, well, this drug didn't really do what we wanted it to do, and we're back to the drawing board.
Oh, yeah. You've always just been a ray of sunshine.
Well, fortunately, while there were a lot of announcements around other forms of research, including caregiver stress and different statistics, two major announcements that came out were that the first clinical trial to show intensive blood pressure treatment may reduce new cases of mild cognitive impairment and dementia. So controlling your blood pressure very strictly on a very strict blood pressure control regimen could reduce your new cases of mild cognitive impairment. And something we have found is that while not all instances of mild cognitive impairment, memory loss that starts to impact your daily life, not all of them result in Alzheimer's dementia. All forms of Alzheimer's dementia do start with mild cognitive impairment. So if we can reduce the number of individuals entering that phase, we believe that will reduce the total number of individuals living with the disease.
So help me with cause effect. Do we think it is the blood pressure medicine that is helping Alzheimer, or in what way controlling that seems to be good for the brain?
So that intensive treatment is a combination of medical and lifestyle changes.
Got it.
So it's an intensive regimen, and more trials around this still need to be completed. This isn't something that we can say, go out, do this, you won't get Alzheimer's. But this gives us a very promising direction to continue research in. And it just reminds the public that blood pressure control is something worth monitoring.
Is this good news for people with low blood pressure?
What I would say is that healthy blood pressure is probably the most important part to get out of this. If your doctor tells you to monitor your blood pressure, you should follow those instructions.
Always working with your doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's so interesting. Okay, now, before we go on to that second thing that you want to announce, let's talk about profile a little bit and lifestyle and men or women. Do either gender maybe be more prone to Alzheimer's?
Sure. So we have found that 2 out of 3 individuals living with Alzheimer's disease are women. And we believe that it's more than just women live longer as well. There are other causes that go into that, and we don't completely understand it. There's actually a researcher at Kent State University whose focus is on trying to figure out why is this occurring. And I believe it's the Maria Shriver Foundation is also funding research specifically targeted at trying to better understand that. But what we know is that 2 out of 3, this is a disease that affects women predominantly. 2 out of 3 individuals with it are women. 2 out of 3 individual caregivers are women.
Oh, of course.
So
wow.
This is definitely there's a notable demographic correlation, and we're still trying to better understand that.
What about a profile? There are so many brilliant people, and then later on you hear, and now they've got Alzheimer's. But you know that when they were in their prime, they were just brilliant. Is there a profile of a person? Is there anything that we can connect the dots at all as far as lifestyle, whether they were doing brainy work before, if they, or
Sure.
Have healthy habits?
So healthy habits is important.
Yes.
We'll always say that first.
Yes.
Some science, and it's still not completely conclusive, nothing is 100% yet, but some science does suggest that individuals build a cognitive reserve by changing up their activities and changing up and teaching themselves something new. So when you hear that, doing Sudokus, I know everything is, this will solve our Alzheimer's.
Yeah, Candy Crush.
Doing Sudokus, doing Candy Crush. So it's not the doing Sudokus or Candy Crush that will prevent Alzheimer's. It's constantly teaching your brain different ways to assess things and solve puzzles and do different things. If you do Sudoku every day for a year, that will help you in the first month because you're learning to do it. But after the second month, your brain has already kind of figured out how Sudokus work. You need to constantly be teaching your brain
Something
new
new.
things. We have seen some correlation between the amount of education, not 100% conclusive, but the amount of education. Individuals with only a high school degree, for example, are more inclined to get an Alzheimer's diagnosis. And we believe that relates back to that cognitive reserve. By challenging yourself throughout your life and additional secondary education, that continues to build that cognitive reserve.
That's so interesting. You hear always keep moving. So you're saying always keep learning.
Yeah, I think a lot of entities would probably agree with that kind of messaging. But yeah, constantly be challenging your brain. And if you want to hear more about different healthy habits for healthy living, that's another one of our education programs. There is no method of preventing Alzheimer's disease, but healthy living can help reduce your risks with what we understand.
Oh, that's well said, and easy to remember. Now you've got more good news.
Yes. So there were a lot of announcements at AAIC, but the second, the exciting one is a phase 2 clinical study of a drug called BAN2401 proved negative in its primary goals. So after 12 months, it didn't achieve what the purpose of the trial was. But in secondary outcomes, at the 18-month mark, it did result in reduction of amyloid plaques and even the improvement of cognition and function in a very small group study.
Okay, pretend I'm like 5 years old.
So I said that really quickly, right? So
tell me what that means.
Like I mentioned earlier, amyloid plaques are one of the components in the brain that there is a connection to Alzheimer's disease. We want there to be fewer amyloid plaques killing your brain cells. And we've known for years that our research is focused on, well, what can we do to reduce amyloid plaques? And just reducing it alone is not the solution. But BAN2401, in certain cases in this very small group study, did reduce amyloid plaques as well as improve their cognitive function and their ability to live.
So when you say improve, that means things that have been lost,
right,
they are getting back.
Well, things got better is how we'll phrase that. So in a disease that is otherwise progressive, this is a huge step forward. And the association, the Alzheimer's Association, the Alzheimer's community, we're excited and encouraged by what this could mean, but we've heard good news before, and
always
we understand
cautious.
More clinical trials are needed and are hopefully in the planning at this point. The AAIC was just held in late July in Chicago, but I'm sure that the researchers that went into this is a big announcement that's making ripples in the Alzheimer's community. So there's excitement building and new research underway.
Well, it's good news after kind of a bit of a drought of good news. And how good that they continued it for that 18 months, even though it didn't do what they were hoping it would do, it did something else.
Sure. And again, this is a small group study, so there are a lot of variables that still need to be accounted for in this. But from what we've seen so far, this is very promising. What we expect and what we're hoping to achieve, hopefully by 2025, as part of the national plan to address Alzheimer's disease, is a method that will likely combine something like a band 2401 or some kind of pharmaceutical intervention with lifestyle changes. And those lifestyle changes are part of additional research going on at the Alzheimer's Association.
So good. All right, now we want to support this and see more good news come from this. You've got a couple of ways we can do that coming up. What are they?
Absolutely. Well, it's fall, so this is our annual Walk to End Alzheimer's season. Walk to End Alzheimer's is our largest community event. We actually hold 7 in the Greater East Ohio area chapter, and the 2 local ones are at Dover Middle School on Saturday, September 15th, and at Massillon Washington High School on Saturday, September 22nd. And you can find the one that's closest to you at alz.org/walk. The events are free to attend. Of course, they are fundraisers, so we encourage teams to register, invite their friends to be on their teams, invite their coworkers, and really build a team around raising awareness and funds to fight Alzheimer's through research and local care and support. The funds raised at Walk go to both research, like the ones that led to Band 2401 and the blood pressure treatments, as well as that local care and support going to caregivers in your community and care consultations and community education programs. So this is our largest community event held throughout the year. And it really is our opportunity to raise awareness around this disease.
And so grab everybody you know, friends and family, have them support you, pledge whatever, and then take a walk. How long is the walk, Andrew?
So the walk on average is about 1.5 to 2 miles, and it's not about the walking itself. It's about that sense of camaraderie. Like I mentioned with our caregiver support groups, so often you feel that you're fighting this disease alone. But during the Promise Garden ceremony at our walk, where everybody raises a flower of a certain color, depending on how they've been touched by this disease, everybody who's been a caregiver raises a flower at the same time. You see that you're in a room of hundreds of people going through the same thing you are. And that is very powerful and emotional for our supporters. And we welcome anyone, even if they're not able to fundraise, to participate and attend. And they can let us know they're coming at alz.org/walk.
Okay, you sign up online.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, September 15th at Dover Middle School, September 22nd at Massillon Washington High School. Andrew DeFreitas, always a pleasure. Thanks for what you do in our community.
Thank you so much for helping us to raise awareness.